How good really is Conor McGregor? So this is a series that I have on my channel where I take a look at a UFC fighter or boxer, look at their career and accomplishments, and just see where do these guys rank in terms of all time, and who better, the man of the moment, Conor McGregor. Let's take a look at his UFC career and his accomplishments, and let's see where does McGregor rank in terms of all time. So let's start off with Conor McGregor's professional MMA record. So it currently sits at 22 wins, 6 losses and no draws. But let's look closer at Conor McGregor's UFC record. So Conor McGregor joined the UFC way back in 2013, and since then he has built up a UFC record of 10 wins and 4 losses, and 8 of those wins have came by way of KO. Moving on over to look at Conor McGregor's record, his resume, some of the names that this guy has beaten within his time in the UFC, which is actually pretty stacked in my opinion anyway. So McGregor has beaten 4 former UFC world champions in Eddie Alvarez, Jose Aldo, Dustin Poirier and Max Holloway. Now, before people get into the comments and cry and complain that I've got Dustin Poirier on there, shut it. The guy was an interim champion. I'm still going to count it. Now, if we go and look at when Conor McGregor beat the likes of the Max Holloway and Dustin Poirier, it was way back in 2014 and 2013. Now, this was way before Max Holloway went on to do great things by becoming featherweight champion, BMF champion, and this is before Dustin Poirier went on his run becoming interim lightweight champion and becoming a top 5 UFC lightweight of all time, in my opinion anyway. However, you could kind of compare these two wins to when Mayweather fought Canelo in a way where everybody thought Canelo was going to be great, but nobody really knew how great Canelo actually would be. And these wins have really aged well for Conor McGregor, beating Max Holloway in his second UFC fight by decision, and obviously knocking out Dustin Poirier in the very first round when they met in 2014. Now, continuing on with Conor McGregor's record, so the biggest win streak that McGregor ever went on in the UFC was a 7-fight win streak. As you can see, he picked up some big wins on this win streak, beating the likes of Max Holloway, Dustin Poirier, Chad Mendes for the interim title, and obviously arguably the greatest featherweight of all time in Jose Aldo. As we all know, Conor McGregor is a former UFC featherweight champion and lightweight champion, and Conor McGregor is the first ever UFC double champ. He is the first fighter in UFC history to hold 2 titles at the exact same time. Now, all them accomplishments sound great, however, this is the one issue with Conor McGregor. When we talk about how great he is, a lot of people like to say he's the greatest featherweight of all time. I probably wouldn't even have McGregor top 3 featherweight, to be honest, and he's obviously nowhere near the best lightweight discussion. Conor McGregor never got a title defense, and that is a real big issue for Conor McGregor, especially when you're trying to argue a point of if he should be top 10 or not. The fact that the guy never ever successfully defended the title is a real big issue, but in turn, the guy does have a really good resume. Like I said, Aldo, Poirier, Holloway, Eddie Alvarez. He's beaten Donald Cerrone, who's a UFC legend. Nate Diaz, another UFC legend. Now, as of recent, Conor McGregor hasn't looked great, really ever since the Mayweather fight. That there, obviously McGregor made a boatload of money to fight Floyd Mayweather. He made about 100 million, I believe. But ever since then, it's obviously been a real downward spiral for Conor McGregor and his UFC career. Ever since then, he's had 1 win, 3 losses. Now, in fairness to McGregor, he took a lot of time off. Obviously, fought Mayweather, took a lot of time off, and came right back in there with arguably, who some people have top 5, I don't, arguably the greatest lightweight of all time. Again, I don't have him there either. But Khabib Nurmagomedov, Conor McGregor went right into the deep end and challenged Khabib Nurmagomedov for the UFC lightweight title in the biggest fight in UFC history, in my opinion, with the best build-up. The first press conference between Conor McGregor and Khabib Nurmagomedov is yet to be topped. That there is cinema. That there is quality. Then he took another big long hiatus from the sport, went in there and smoked Donald Cerrone in the first round. It was a good win. Donald Cerrone didn't really look like he wanted to be in there, but McGregor did get a good KO in there in the first round. Then Conor McGregor took another year off, went back over to Fight Island, and that's where he fought Dustin Poirier, and Dustin Poirier was able to stop him in the second round, which a lot of people did not expect, especially after their first fight where McGregor KO'd him in the first round. He then went in there with Dustin Poirier. McGregor didn't look all that bad in there, just Dustin Poirier had a really good game plan. McGregor just could not deal with the calf kicks of Dustin Poirier, and then eventually got KO'd. And I believe this was McGregor's first ever KO loss in his MMA career. He then rematched Dustin Poirier that same year. He made a pretty quick turnaround. We haven't seen this from McGregor in a while, and we all know what happened in there. Unfortunately, McGregor did break his leg in there. He did look pretty good at parts in that third fight with Dustin Poirier. However, I think it was near the end. Yeah, it definitely was. It was near the end where Poirier had taken him down and was just landing big shots of ground and pound on Conor McGregor. And it just was not looking good for McGregor at that point. And since then, we haven't seen McGregor in the cage. Obviously, he was set to make his return this year against Michael Chandler. They did do the Ultimate Fighter together, but he did have to pull out due to an injury, and we haven't seen him since. Now, this stat right here doesn't really do anything for McGregor in terms of his all-time rankings, but Conor McGregor has headlined 11 UFC events. He's without a doubt the biggest star the UFC have ever seen. He took the sport mainstream. He's a big reason as to why I got into watching the UFC. Same for a lot of other people. I don't think we'll ever find someone that will transcend the sport like Conor McGregor did, to be honest. I don't think we will ever see that again. I also just want to note out that this right here, the rematch between Nate Diaz, is probably my favourite UFC fight of all time. Again, this doesn't really help his point in terms of is he an all-time great or not, but this right here, if you haven't seen it, I'm sure a lot of people have seen it. This is, without a doubt, my favourite fight of all time. Conor McGregor, Nate Diaz 2. What a war that was. But anyway, let's finalise the video. So, like I said, I read out a lot of stats there for Conor McGregor. He is a former 2-division world champion. Where would I have Conor McGregor all time? So, starting off with the division that he really done his best work in, which is the featherweight division. I don't have him top 3. He's top 5, yes. Where would I put him? Top 5. I'd maybe put him, to be honest, 5th. I think Aldo, Volkanovski, Holloway, and Ilia Topuria now are all above him. Now, before people get in the comments and say he beat Max Holloway, he beat Aldo, but the work they done in the featherweight division just outshines McGregor, the work he done, in my opinion. Like I said, the guy never defended the title. I feel like he's the 5th best featherweight of all time. I'm not going to talk about where he ranks in terms of lightweight because he's had 2 fights there. Now, the Eddie Alvarez performance is the greatest title fight performance, probably one of the greatest UFC performances of all time. He absolutely schooled Eddie Alvarez in there. It's a shame that after that, he then went on to go box Floyd Mayweather instead of staying around and seeing what he would have done in the lightweight division. However, you're getting offered $100 million to go box. Very understandable. In terms of all time, for me, I'm going to try and not be biased here. I don't think I have Conor McGregor top 10 of all time. I definitely have him top 15. Where I would put him in the top 15, I'm not too sure. He's very close to being near top 10, but with the lack of title defenses and the time off, and there's a lot of other fighters that have done more in their divisions, defended the titles more, have better resumes than what McGregor actually has. I know I'm a big McGregor fan, but I'm going to try and be unbiased here. I don't have him top 10, but let me know your opinions in the comments below. And as always, like, share, subscribe, comment, all that good stuff. And comment below which fighter you want to see me talk about next.